Danny, it's nice to be here today with you to kind of kick off what we're talking about here and kicking off kind of the whole journey with Evark. We've been doing our independent, work, and we've been in the space for a long time. I know that, but I think here's the case, or here's the time where we get to kind of showcase that and fuse them together and be able to present it as a cohesive whole, full at scale for everyone to know. So I'm excited about it. Before we kind of hop into learning more about your background, learning more about my background, and then kind of Avark as a whole and all the things we're doing here and why we are creating this and why we're building this out, I want to learn more specifically about you and allow yourself to introduce yourself to the people. So, Danny, if you don't mind giving yourself an introduction and going for it.
Yeah, for sure. So, my name's Danny Thomas, and I've known Elijah for a few years now through a local gym that we used to go to. I was currently doing marketing for a gym a couple years back, and then you were training, right? But that's how it started. Um, but yeah, so as of right now, I'm an agency owner. I do local search engine optimization through Google and AI search engines for contractors. So that's pretty much been my journey for the past 3 to 4 years in the making. So just pretty much trial by fire, learning on my own. Put myself through school, San Diego State, for digital marketing as a whole, just to kind of see what I wanted to do, right? Because digital marketing, there's such a vast space. Um, but for me specifically, speaking with my professors and stuff like that, SEO kind of got my attention early on. So I kind of stuck with that once I decided to start my agency. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm just a normal dude, dad of three, married happily, just living the life. And I think being a business owner gives you the opportunity to just simply create your own schedule. Because for me, I was a contractor for 6 to 8 years. I used to work for a Fortune 500 company. I used to work in nonprofit. I used to do a lot of different things. Um, and I was just always a slave to the 9 to 5 grind. Building somebody else's dream was kind of what I took from it. So I think finally calling it quits a couple years back. Currently I was a commercial electrician at the time. I quit the day that my son was born, Oliver, my 3-year-old. I do have two twin boys that are teenagers now too, so I feel old. uh, I guess that's an understatement, but I don't know. It was definitely a kind of like a shock and awe, like officially getting away from the W-2 work world and kind of going down the business owner route. So, but yeah, other than that, it's been a journey for sure. So
Yeah.
I think this opportunity that we've been kind of I guess, playing around with, on the whiteboard, seeing it come to fruition in the next couple of weeks is going to be exciting. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think before, like, I know you, but it's cool to hear you present that, and it's cool for everyone else to be able to understand that as well. So let me give myself like a brief introduction, and then I want to go more into that as well.
Sure.
So for people who don't know me, my name is Elijah Robert Matthew Soto, and I've been in the content media space. I mean, it's been ever since I was really when I was at Brown, and even before then, I had been doing the social media marketing, social media managing all of that, managing it for the gyms, for the athletic department at Brown, and even back before then, I was doing it for the clubs that I was involved in, the sports teams. Social media was always kind of my thing throughout high school, throughout college. I just loved being able to get things real life and express it in an artistic way and be able to share that at scale. Obviously, the social media landscape has evolved as I have evolved as a person. So, like I said, grew up in Irvine, California. That's where I went to high school, and then when I went to Brown, that's when I really like kicked gears into like, okay, I like the social media marketing or social media managing stuff, and then I got into photography very heavy. And that's when I was like doing a lot of sports photography. I got one of my photos up hanging at Brown at the fitness center.
Nice.
That was cool. I always
That's
thought that
cool.
was a cool accomplishment. You know, I was
Oh
like
yeah,
immortalized on the wall. So that was pretty.
etched in stone.
Yeah. And so from there, I just kept pursuing it. But simultaneously, I was like, I didn't see it as my career path then. Something I liked, something I enjoyed, but it wasn't something where I figured like, oh, I could do this full time because coming out of Brown, I'm thinking, okay, I have to go pursue the business route, right? And so I went into pharmaceutical biotech management consulting. I guess the best way to put it is management consulting specializing. It's a boutique management consulting firm specializing in biotech and pharmaceuticals. And so I did a lot of the business management, being able to do like product development stuff, product launches, things like that. That really got me.
I feel like that's opposite ends of the spectrum a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is. And that's the thing where it's like I went there and I did all that business stuff. And then I was like, man, like it's cool, it's fun, but I have that understanding of the business side of it, but it wasn't like my passion or my calling. And so after 2 years there, I was like, you know what? I want to go back to what I found was really my passion. And that was kind of a daunting, scary thing to be like, I'm going to go shift to something that my degree's not fully in. You know, my degree was in business and biology. So there's a business side a little bit. But I was like, I'm going to shift back to what I was really passionate about. And so I left my job and then I began this whole entrepreneurial journey of figuring out, okay, hey, what am I really trying to do here? And social media marketing, the media space as a whole, is just what I was called to for the longest time. So I just dove into it, started by doing photography work, then started doing social media management for local businesses, then started getting into the video piece, got podcasts up and launched and running, and then just been slowly just building and growing from there. And now it's at a time in which we met each other, I think 3 years back now.
Something like that.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago.
About 3 years back now. And from then, you saw me, I was on my content grind, we're building stuff. And I saw you were like going hard in the entrepreneurial game. And I think our worlds started to really collide because I was going hard on the content space and then I was developing my skill there. I was learning about the cameras, developing my skill and being able to really hone to be like, hey, we're at the cutting edge space now of what we can do when it comes to editing and content across the board. And I know you were developing yourself and you are at the cutting edge of what you do when it comes to the technical expertise of ads and being able to do SEO and understanding all of the things that a business needs on the marketing end besides the content piece. So it seems there's like this beautiful blend now where we both are complementing each other. And it's been a journey for both of us too, where it's been, we've had different things we've done in the past. And now it's like, hey, we're finding both our passions and our talents are aligning. And now we're here at Avark.
Combined forces.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Yeah, I think the most important take from this, this whole partnership is defined and clear roles. Like it's very clear, like what you do and what your specialty is, and then what I do, and then what my specialty is. So that having that kind of establishment before you even like put pen to paper is going to be crucial. Because like the first go around for me, like I had partners and there was like in the beginning, we were just kind of, like I said, trial by fire, trying to figure out what exactly it is we wanted to do and what kind of service we wanted to provide to, small business owners at the time. So it just caused a lot of confusion. And then, after a number of months in my first year of official entrepreneurship, it was like, okay, I'm going to stick to this. And I'm not going to stray from it for at least 2 years, because then that provided direction and purpose and kind of forced me to learn as much as I could about that specific service that can be offered. Because like I said, digital marketing is such a vast space. It's just what problem are you trying to solve specifically for a business owner, right? And that was the one we chose at the time. So, but yeah, I feel like now, because I've been running my own paid ads for like 13 plus years or something like that. So
let's go.
Yeah, I've done it a lot through my own trials, burning my own cash, testing creatives. And it's like moving into 2026 and beyond, like there's just such this huge culture shift to content, being in front of the camera, producing multiple pieces across multiple different channels. And the same thing goes for search engine optimization. Like, there is a massive shift in like YouTube, for example. It's crazy that a platform like YouTube is, I wouldn't say it's outperforming Google, right? But it's like people need to like wake up and recognize like you need to start getting in front of the camera. You need to be more comfortable. You need to have a spokesperson in place or somebody who is like, because usually owners, it's like 50-50 if they want to get in front of a camera,
Yeah.
you know. But
It depends if they're sales oriented owners or not.
right. And at the same time too, it would be our responsibility to help pull the life out of that person, right? Because everybody has a story to be told. And everybody has a pretty interesting story for the most part, or at least most business owners I know. There's always some pain, there's always climbing the mountain and stuff like that. So I think nowadays it's more important than ever to do something that we've been talking about for a while. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like we have been like in communication about being able to like join forces and do this, and I think there's a lot of areas where you've helped me along the way in certain areas, and there's areas where I've been able to provide assistance to you. I'm like, hey, get this camera. This is how you want to do it, you know.
Yeah.
And so we've been complementary in helping each other in this. And I think the question I kind of want to pose to you, Danny, is when did you feel like, okay, hey, it makes sense, like it makes sense for us to kind of combine forces here and let's do something unique and have a blend. Like let's make Avark real. When did you kind of decide that, and what made you feel like, hey, like Elijah and CTB and the people here, like they have the talent and the skill to be able to do this, you know?
Yeah, I'd probably say over the last 12 months, because for me, like we're still like, nobody knows this, but you still technically work with me for the side project for a steakhouse client that we have. So
we've been doing some work together.
Yeah, right. So like I've always, been watching the work that you've done, so it's like you started your journey kind of around the same time, maybe a little after, a little before, but it's like in the inception of things, it's like you start to see yourself evolve and level up and go through the pains and the hardships. And like, once I started seeing you kind of come out of your shell a little bit more and offer more services and find, amazing talent to work under you as well. That's when I kind of started seeing like, okay, now I feel like if I present this idea, I can definitely bring a different side of things, right? As far as the structure, the systems, the processes, the automations, all that kind of stuff.
At a high level.
Right. Yeah, that's the most important part because, it's not fun when things break at scale for sure. Or at least trying to control the scale and things breaking as best you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was probably the time, probably in the last 4 months, I started really seeing some of the stuff you guys can produce, and I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, I don't know what they're charging, but they're probably not charging enough.
Yeah.
So that's when, because for me, when I look at content creators and I look at like services that you offer, a lot of people look at it as like you guys are just task doers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm paying you for a service and that's all it is. But what I'm trying to shift the focus on is being more ROI driven and more outcome, right? Like we produce outcomes through this, through XYZ, not necessarily you pay us and you get 4 videos or you get 8 videos and if it flops, right? Like you don't know if a piece of organic content is going to shoot to the moon or not, right? That's where the consistency comes into play. So that right there was kind of like an obvious one. Like if we can create quality content at scale, and also pair that with paid advertising, funnels, automations, all that other stuff in between, it creates this perfect synergy of growth that we can kind of insert into a company.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's also too, is there's also the piece where the question comes up is, why is it that you felt that you wanted to pivot into offering more content? Because you have been working with, you've been working in the industry adjacent, you just haven't been offering the content as much. And you've been doing a lot of the SEO, a lot of the ads, all that stuff. So in that, what are you seeing where you're like, we need the content?
Updates. It was so last year was like the biggest shift in my opinion, and I haven't even been in SEO for like 10 plus years. Like I don't have that kind of experience, but that was like the big aha moment for me is because we went through like major algorithm updates and shifts in content and the whole AI slop era for content on the SEO side of things. That was like a huge thing where people would just have these massive bubbles of hundreds of thousands of clicks and traffic, even millions of visitors. And then these updates came and they just completely wiped the floor and they started pushing more. They basically started treating social media platforms across the web as search engines itself. So that was kind of like that whole thing. I was like, okay, well, that's when I started to think kind of outside the box. I was like, okay, well, if content is going to be the big thing, right? And in my expertise, I necessarily can't show up to the client's doorstep and say, hey, got a camera in your face, because I have clients all over the country. So I kind of wanted to bring it back local, because I don't have that many local clients. Most of them are just in different states. So with that, it would definitely give us an opportunity to tap in locally. And then once we kind of build the systems out a little bit more, we can potentially expand into different states, hire different video editors and photographers and videographers under the brand, right? But that was probably the biggest shift that I saw.
Gotcha.
And the thing is too, it's like you can say all of these things to a customer or a client, and it's up to them whether they're going to actually take it seriously or not. Because at the end of the day, it's their business, it's their brand, right? But if the big monster, the big Google monster says, hey, you should be producing content on X and on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, because it's going to dramatically increase the exposure of your brand, not only in the AI search engines, which is like the new big thing, right? Trying to get picked up in Perplexity and ChatGPT and all that kind of stuff, but also at social media across the platform. Because with AI search engines, it's all about positive brand mentions now, and in 3 months it could change completely, right? That's the crazy thing about SEO. It's like ever evolving. But we want to make sure that we are portraying ourselves in kind of like an omni-channel type of presence, right? So like if you click on an ad on Google, right, and you go to a landing page, all of a sudden we have that customer information, and then all of a sudden you see us on Facebook, and you see us on Instagram, or you see us on YouTube, and we're able to retarget those audiences over 3 or 4 different channels, right? And then we'll be able to create more buzz, more hype around the brand, more opportunity for them to come back and basically gear them down the conversion path, whatever that is, whether it's users or form submissions or clicks to calls or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
And that was the big thing, and again, it could change in 6 months, but content is here to stay.
Facts,
the thing.
Of course. Yeah. And I think that's the big key too, where it's like, so as an intelligent business owner yourself, an entrepreneur, right? You're looking at the space and the landscape and you're like, okay, content is here to stay. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to be pulled in, that these, AI search engines and how things are trending with AI is like, they're referencing, they're pulling the transcripts off of YouTube, and they're being able to understand what's going on with the short form videos and all that stuff. But one of the things you said that I think is kind of powerful to unpack and maybe shows like the real synergy between us and what we're kind of bringing together here is, you can show up tons of times in all the content, but it has to be something that the person actually watches or wants to watch or is finding to be insightful and valuable and even entertaining to some degree, right? And if you're going to get, you can post 20 videos a day, but if they're all garbage, if they're things that don't retain, if they're things that don't really, talk to your ideal customer, if they're things that, aren't at a quality that demonstrates, like, if your video is blurry, is your work going to be comparable in a blurry way? You know what I mean? Is the paperwork going to be blurry? Is the job that you do going to be a little, kind of half butt, And so with that piece, I'll just say it half-ass, that's the piece where that I think you identified clearly, that it's not just having the content, because content's here to stay, of course, across all the platforms, but it's making sure that the quality is not only to say it's the highest level and the best all the time, but that it matches the quality of the products and the services that business owners are trying to deliver.
Yeah, 100%.
And it seems like you're able to be like, hey, we can deliver that. I know we can deliver that when it comes to the media side of things.
Oh yeah,
I'm
sure you can. Yeah.
So I'm excited because I'm like, boom, because as a business owner myself, right? And I'm thinking like, okay, where are the areas where I see this? And I identify the same trends as you. This is why I'm in the content space. But then the areas where I kind of lacked in certain pieces was in the SEO, was in the ads, was understanding, ads manager and those types of things, and being able to do targeting, retargeting, and campaigns, and to understand that. I'm smart. I'm watching YouTube. I'm figuring it out. I'm trying to learn. But nothing beats experience, and nothing beats the experience that you've had with clients over 10 plus years. You said 13 years. I mean, and you're doing it with clients where it matters. These are big clients and this is big stuff, and you're doing full campaigns, optimizing their websites, optimizing SEO, doing all that stuff. And so whenever I had a question in my business, the first person I ever turned to was you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
and so with that, I think it's beautiful because you're like, hey, we need good content. And it's like, we could do the good content. And you're like, hey, we need to make sure that good content gets in front of the right people and actually built to generate a return for our businesses. And you're like, boom, you got that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else when it comes to like so that's exciting. You know, I think it really is exciting because we have two kind of, I would say, powerhouses in our own respective domains, but we both see the complementary piece where we can bring that together. And it's not just for both of our respective independent businesses. We're going to be helpful to each other. Combining it though, I think that's where we are able to then be helpful to all businesses, right? Who need like content, media, who need marketing, who need ads, who need to, hey, get people to know that they're there and what they offer and that it's good stuff and that they can pay them for it, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so with that, I think that's kind of a huge piece. But I wanted to talk about the trends and the things that you're kind of seeing, because that's another piece too. Like the market opportunity is huge, but also getting clients or getting people to understand that like, hey, this is something that we have to do. And here's like why. It seems like you're really knowledgeable on that. I'd love for you to talk more about what's kind of going on in the evolving landscape of marketing, of why content is so important and things like that, if you'd love to.
Yeah. And I think it's, like I said, it's a great synergy between the two because on the surface, you know, any small business owner can look at like the offer, right? And just think, oh, content, ads, cool, funnel, something like that, right? But it's definitely a lot deeper than that because of all the trends on like the search engine side of things that I see that I'm like they just don't understand the magnitude that it's going to do for their business at scale simply because it's like if you're trying to get picked up in the new stuff, like all the AI search engines and like basically the trends that Google's kind of steering down, you have to be able to take one piece of content and then simply make videos and plaster it all over the place. You know, like I don't know how many times I've had conversations with people and I'm like, hey, look, like we're producing really good content for like your blogs, for example. Why don't you make a video about it? And then we can repurpose that 5 different times across 5 different places, right? And you would be exponentially increasing your overall click-through rate to your, we call them money pages, but you know, wherever you're trying to get traffic to, right, to perform some type of action down a conversion event, that's where we want to lead people, right? So, and there's a couple of people in the space that I follow like almost on a daily basis that do it very, very well. Like there's a guy, he's literally had a podcast and he's done 1,020 episodes in a row. Like every day on YouTube, he posts his podcast. And I'm just like, I love this guy because it's great. Because he's a fantastic marketer, but because of his roots in the basic principles and fundamentals of search engine optimization. So, yeah, like that's why I think now even 6 months ago, 12 months ago, it's more important time than ever to push content to as many different platforms as you can handle as a business owner. But at the same time, just like what you said, if it's not structured properly, then you're just going to pretty much be, you know, throwing stuff at a wall hoping it sticks, right? So being able to come into a business and edit and script and film and distribute their content and run their ads and set up funnels to basically solve the speed to lead problem, for example. Like all of those things packaged into one, and especially where we can produce at a high scale very, very quickly. That's how you show a business owner that, hey, this is how you produce ROI really, really fast for a business. You know, because there's so many times where agencies will, you know, they have a ramp up period where they'll take 30, 60, 90 days to really get things going. And for search engine optimization, it does take time, but it's a different type of sell, you know. Ads are very quick, but everything else, you know, you can pay an agency to run your ads, right? But if the owner is not willing to produce content at a high level or just produces crap, you know, it's not going to perform very well, right? Mm-hmm. So if we basically take all of these problems and solve them and package it into a 14-day sprint, that's where that ultimate value comes from, you know? So, I mean, it's tough to say where we're going to be at in 6 months. AI is like crazy and it's ever evolving, you know, like Claude Cowork is a pretty cool thing where it can basically autonomously do tasks for you. I know security has always been a big issue, so I think they have that figured out, or they will have it figured out here in the next 3 to 6 months probably. But yeah, it's completely changing the game for not only agencies but business owners too. So it's tough to say where we're going to be in like 3 to 6 months, but I feel like if you can just get your story out there and get in front of the camera and get over your fears for one, I think that's really what's going to win.
Yeah, huge,
I mean,
huge.
Gary Vee preaches this stuff, so
Yeah, facts.
He's huge on content.
Yeah, Gary Vee's legit. VaynerMedia and like, and see, that's the thing is like, it's like for a long time it seemed you had to convince people like, hey, you should get on social media, you should start making content. Just that alone, just even getting them on one social media platform was like, I don't know, that's like the new stuff. I think it's undeniable now. I mean, it's undeniable now that you should be on getting your face out there, getting your business out there on all platforms as much as you possibly can. And, specifically the ones that are relevant to where your ideal customer is going to be at. Right. Yeah. And so with that now it's like, okay, we're on here. But then once you're on here, it's like, well, what are you producing? How are you doing it? What's the strategy? And, people can watch a quick video on YouTube and understand, okay, this is generally what I should be doing. But then it comes time to really execute now. And now you're, in the back end of things and you're filming it and editing it. And you're like, oh, wow, this is taking a lot of time, and you realize that just to post a couple pieces of quick content across all platforms, you're spending 3-4 hours now just filming, recording, and posting it across all the different platforms. You still have a business to run.
It's so much work. Well, at least before I met you and I was doing it just with my cell phone, doing like CapCut and like,
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, oh man, my audio's crap. I got to go buy a mic. Oh, this one's a crappy mic. I'm going to go try 4 other ones before I find a decent one. Oh, dude, I can't tell you how many times I can just like rip my hair out trying to like edit a video in CapCut. It takes a long time, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, that's another piece that I didn't even mention is like the time saving factor, right? Of like combining all of those things and the sales side, like usually the way we structure things is like if we're producing organic content and we're pushing it out there on a bunch of different channels, if one piece of content performs well on its own, you have a winner for an advertising campaign right there. That's the exact thing I did when I run my ads. I had one piece of content that did great, and that ad has been running since 2024.
If it ain't broke.
And right. And the funny thing is there's been some pretty big updates with Andromeda, Meta, Facebook advertising, but that ad is so good it just performs. And now it has over 700,000 views, and it's produced well into the 6 figures with closed deals. And I'm like, that's like my go-to.
Yeah.
Anytime I want to get more clients or more book calls and stuff, I'll just turn that ad on. But I'm also testing other things at the same time, right? So, but that's the name of the game. It's like the ones who win in the end test the most. So if we're able to do that on an organic content side of things, on a paid advertising side of things, that's how and obviously posting on multiple channels, that's how that omni-channel marketing happens. Same thing for all the big tech companies or Fortune 1000 companies even. They have an omni-channel presence on their marketing. They are everywhere all at once, and they are the top of mind for their ideal ICP or their clients, and that's pretty much what we're trying to bring to the table for people in Southern California.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing about it is it's like people think about, oh, I have to post like all this content across all these platforms. Well, you don't have to. But the thing about it is when you do that, you're able to like that omni platform and kind of a sense omnipresence is like you're able to be there in every area. But that is also an extension of the brand, basically being able to permeate that digital space so that, yes, your brand exists physical, your business exists in the physical, the products and the services you deliver, it's here, it's real. This is, and a lot of times people will see things online and they don't, that's removed from the reality of their day-to-day work. Say they're installing doing a home renovation or something like that, or installing a pool, or, thinking about HVAC or something like that. It's like, that's real. And people oftentimes think the digital is not real, but we're getting the reality of what you do, the hard work that you put in, and we're being able to project that into the digital space, which is directly, if you think about just the platform itself of looking at a screen, it's projecting it right into the person's mind, right? And that's just being in their attention, of their sphere of attention, and what's going on.
Dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Yeah.
After dopamine.
And so when you're building that omnipresence and that omni distribution across all the platforms, is you're able to create an ecosystem that extends into the person's mind, competing for space that all of the other ads and things and content and all the AI slop and all the stuff that's out there, so it does have to be, there has to be a level of tact and strategy to it, because people are bombarded. If we think about driving down the street or driving down the highway, you're going to see billboard after billboard after billboard. Now, what you're seeing on, TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels is you're seeing billboard, 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 billboard. Every swipe, every single second is something new, right? So how do you stand out? And how do you, once you get someone's attention and they click on your profile on your page and they go to maybe your website, or they maybe click on a link in your Instagram that pulls them to a YouTube video, and however that is there, you have to get them to go deeper into the ecosystem you're creating, so that your brand and your company, your business, and everything that you're offering can be something that is holding time in the person's mind, and so that they're relevant. Because if they don't know about you, if they haven't spent some time to learn and to understand and to see, hey, this person has an Instagram and then a YouTube, I like that short form video. Let me go look at the long form video. I like that long form. Let me subscribe to that, weekly newsletter. Let me subscribe to this. Or, hey, now I can click on that course, or I can click on that offering there. Shoot, I'm booking a call right away. I love what they do. They seem competent. It seems like there's multiple different areas. They're the same person throughout. This is a consistent, cohesive brand and presence. And so there's trust built, right? Because you realize this person had to sit down for at least an hour to film this thing, and so that's when kind of people start to really get to a personal connection, and they realize, hey, this person's not bullshitting me, right? That's the biggest part. People can make a 30-second video, hey, buy this thing, and it's like, is it a scam? Is it another UGC TikTok, thing?
Consumers are getting much smarter nowadays. That's 100%.
They're getting way smarter. So that's the thing, is authenticity is what's going to win, and the way to be authentic is people can't fake it for hours and hours and hours.
And what you just explained was literally the content spider web. You see one piece of content, and then all of a sudden you're just dished up tons of different content that is inside of that person's ecosystem, and that way you just continuously stays top of mind. Like I've been following people for years, right? And I might not buy today, I might buy 6 months down the road. But the fact that they show up almost every day and they have a proper marketing system built out, whether it's a newsletter, right, or organic channels, or long form, short form content. Like long form content's where the money's made, really, because that's when you're really able to be vulnerable, show your true colors, and really just talk about your expertise, right? And at the same time, like be real. Like there's so much AI content out there that's just being flooded into social media. It's a nice breath of fresh air when people are just able to like connect at a human level,
Yeah,
even if it's through a screen,
Yeah, and that's nice too, because ultimately, if you're looking at content that's related to business, marketing things, or it's related to what you're trying to do, which is you're not on here just scrolling looking at cat videos all day. You're trying to learn, you're trying to get better, you're trying to improve yourself, and you're trying to improve your business, and ultimately make more money, right? And so with that, you are seeing like, hey, there's a reason that I'm scrolling and looking at this content, and I want that stuff. Like when you see that person, you're able to relate to them and be like, would I pay this person thousands of dollars? That's a question. And most people can make videos that go viral and get tons of clicks and views, and they can do stuff that 20 million or 10 million or all these shares and likes, and it's like, are you as a business owner really supposed to be doing TikTok dances that go viral, or are you supposed to be doing something that's a little bit more focused on who you're trying to attract, so that you can build that trust and then be able to do some real world stuff? Let's build some things. Let's, implement some stuff. Let's sell some products. Let's build relationships that's going to be offline. The point is to create an ecosystem online that's reflective of the physical ecosystem you've already built. When someone walks into your office and they see the person at the front desk, and then they go and sit down, and you want that whole experience, they have your conversations, or you're going out to a job, or you're going out to a site, and you have that first meeting, first interaction. You want to look good. You want to have a good first impression. You want to make sure that you're demonstrating competency. You understand them. You hear them out. All of the things that you do to create a good ecosystem in your business and however it is, is something that is powerful and impactful. And people oftentimes forget that when it comes to the marketing side of it and just being visible, that there has to be that same ecosystem in the digital space, not from a standpoint of you doing something new, of you just doing what you already do in your normal day-to-day business operations, of making sure you're delivering good quality, everything's looking good, you're competent, things, crossing the T's, dotting the I's on everything. You want to do that in the digital content space as well, because this is just an extension of what you do, and it's something that I think is important to be incorporated as such, not treated as just some fad thing, like, let me just pay some money and put out an ad or just get that video out there, whatever. You're actually projecting who you are in real life into the digital so that people can see that, so then they can come from the digital into the real life and pay you money. Right.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny when you were talking about those things too, because you kept referencing the content side of things, and when you were walking through that customer journey, all I was thinking about on my end is the back end, the systems, like the follow-ups, like, like.
Talk to us.
Gosh, man, it just blows. It's crazy too, because it's like so many people I talk to, whether they're, a lead or a prospect or a client of mine, they are currently missing the mark on a lot of different things when it comes to tracking their numbers. Like, a lot of people have no idea what their numbers are. And it kind of explains why there's chaos in the business, like, for example, when we run paid advertising for contractors, their response time is like 2 to 3 hours. And I'm like, we have systems in place to follow up like immediately, like when a lead, sees your content, right? So like when we set up a cold targeting campaign, we have a handful of ads that are retargeting as well. So it's like we have this little ecosystem here, and then we have a follow-up sequence, right? But when the owner doesn't basically take the hand holding that's been done and lead take the customer down that path to basically book an appointment, show up on site, the gap there is so massive that they could already be onto something else. They could have already booked in 2 or 3 different site visits with the other competitors because they were attentive enough to basically respond instantly, right? And again, there's tons of automations and AI nowadays to kind of help bridge that gap. But then there's also the big feedback too, where it's like some people don't like AI answering, text messages and phone calls and booking appointments and stuff like that. So there's always going to be that gap, right? But the fact of the matter is, like, if you don't know your numbers, like how much are we spending each month? What's our lead, like cost per lead look like? What does our average lifetime value look like? What does our booking rate look like? Like, all of those metrics need to get tracked in a spreadsheet every month. And then you can actually identify, is it a sales problem or is it a marketing problem, right? And then, or is it a customer journey / experience problem? Because the first touch point to the last, where it's like you're showing up in on their doorstep, that right there is the most important, like most crucial part of everything, really. That's why we're sitting here right now making content for our basically to increase our show rates from like wherever it's at right now to much, much higher, right? Because we're trying to portray that we're experts, we know what we're doing, but at the same time, we're trying to solve the customer problem, pain points and all, before they even book a call.
Yeah.
Right. So if a lead opts in, but all of a sudden they see 6 to 8 pieces of content talking about all of their pain points and talking about everything in between, right, leading up to why we would be the best choice to solve XYZ problem in your life, right? That is pretty much the direction that we're going in. They're already pre-qualified and pre-sold before they even hop on a call. So there's no guesswork. Right?
Yeah.
Same exact reason why like a smooth onboarding system is very important, right? Same thing for contractors. Ours is more digital. This one is a little bit different, right? Like from a contractor standpoint, of course. But again, there's so many different variables on top of just producing content, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, because we can do all of those things, right? We can produce amazing content. We can, run their ads and everything in between. But if they don't have proper systems on the back end to really take that lead from A to Z and get them booked in, then what's the point, right? But again, that's where the funnel, the automations, the follow-up sequences come into place, the project manager that's assigned to the client. Like, all of those problems we're trying to solve in a very short amount of time. That's why it's so freaking powerful. And the fact that I have the back end experience of search engine optimization and systems and processes, bringing that into like somebody's business is huge, because like I mentioned before, like search engine optimization is changing and it's leading so heavily onto the content side of things that we need to treat all of these different social media platforms like a search engine, plugging in the right keywords into the captions and into some hashtag. I don't know if hashtags work now. I'll let you kind of figure that one out, but same exact thing goes there, right? Treating everything like an actual search engine for the customer, bringing local relevancy all in one package. Like that's why it's going to be super cool when all this stuff gets up and running. So.
Well, I think you sold me. You want to start a business together, Danny?
Yeah, let's do it.
Definitely, and that's super powerful, and it just becomes undeniable. And the thing that becomes undeniable is, like I said, we're already at the place where content, of course, that needs to be made. We need to distribute it across multiple channels, and we need to do stuff that's authentic. I wanted to make a point here on this because what you said is powerful from the way that you broken it down into the business perspective. But I know that there's a lot of business owners who their expertise isn't necessarily knowing all about the marketing side and all these things. They are like, dude, we build the best freaking homes. Like that's what we do, you know, figure it out, whatever, you know, like you want a home built. That's amazing. We do that. Like I can't build a home, you know, I can't do an HVAC thing. I can't, you know, work with a lot of these things. And so that's where you need experts in their respective fields. But to bring it back to maybe a little bit more of a less daunting way to articulate it, but at the same time to demonstrate what this really means is that's just being authentic. It's just being real in your conversations. If you're good at what you do, you're the best home builder, just talk about it. And you could say that and you could put that out there in your content and be able to express that. But now the thing is, okay, you're a great home builder. Do you want the person that wants to buy a sandwich to be watching your home building video? Probably not, right?
Yeah,
so we
absolutely.
say, okay, how can we assist you in being able to get in front of the people that your content, what your expertise is going to resonate with? Because all the things where it's like, you know, going to the long form video and being sold already before the call and those types of things, it's more so is we're demonstrating that we're authentic and that we're capable and competent people and we know what we're doing in our respective field and that we want to help you in your respective field to succeed. And synergistically, that's good business. When we know what we're doing and we're going to help you and we show up authentically, you know what you're doing and you're going to help us because, you know, you're going to, this is that relationship that we're building here. And I think that's powerful. And it goes to show that a lot of these things can be talked about in really complex ways, but ultimately it's just you're doing the things that you know that you should be doing and how you want to do it. It's just now we're doing it through the digital medium and we have to monitor and track the back end to make sure that you're talking to the right people, to make sure that your content's landing in the right places, right? You don't want your ad being on a billboard in the middle of a desert when you have, something that is for coastal houses or something, like you want things to be relevant to the area, right? And so that's something that I think that you have a really good knowledge about and on, and as do I. And I think that's important to then get all of the business owners out there to be able to understand that, hey, of course you're making content. Now it's time to make really good quality content. And then once you have the really good quality content, how are you going to deploy that with a strategy to, at the end of the day, put more money in your pocket, increase revenue, and decrease your total time that you have to worry about stuff that's not related to what you do.
Yeah, removing a lot of hats, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what a business owner is. You just have so many hats, and then you're just, over the years, as you are climbing through the ranks and learning more about your business, you're just removing them, So that, and that's, it's funny too, because I was definitely going off the rails, right? Because there's just so many tiny minute details. Yeah. I know, right? But it's also refreshing too, right? Because the expertise is there, and the fact that we kind of already know what needs to be done before even the first video is filmed. Hopefully, we're portraying a good look upon a potential customer or business owners, because there's so many different things that kind of get covered under that offer, right? With the content and the distribution and the ads and the funnels, and then for me, analytics and data and tracking is everything, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how we keep the lights on, you know?
Well,
So
I think
all of that packaged into everything's powerful.
and I think it's important to pose the question to business owners out there. Do they know their analytics? Could they give us their click-through rates? Are they even running ads? If they are, do they know what's going on all this? Do they know if their stuff is landing with their ideal customer? Or are there ads being shown to like someone in like Vietnam right now? Like, I don't know, like we have to be able to really say, I know that you know that it's important to do this content, but it's important to do it right. Especially if they're at the place as a business where they're spending money on ads and they're spending money on like they have a marketing budget and they're deploying that. If you're spending money, you don't want dollars wasted, and efficiency comes in understanding, hey, what's actually the end result of this? And something on my end where I do like a lot of the creative content generation and all that is I'm like, Danny, I need help being able to get those analytics and being able to understand that. And you've helped me and we've been able to build that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm someone who knows about the space. And there's areas where I didn't have metrics and numbers. I can't imagine someone who's not even native to the content space altogether, marketing, how overwhelming and how, difficult of a position it is to be deploying money and literally have no KPIs or even understand if those KPIs are accurate. Are they tracking the right things? Is that really key performance? Yeah, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
And then to say, okay, hey, it's not, I want to make a change. Deploy more money at it. No, what are we actually doing here? Where's the strategy? Where's the tact? What's not working? Are your hooks not working? Are you mainly on short form stuff in TikTok, but most of your audience is on YouTube? Are you doing tons of YouTube content, but you're not cutting that into short form content so people aren't able to get hooked and then drawn in? What's going on here with all of that stuff? And then talk about all of the stuff when it comes to the back end tracking of what's actually happening, what the numbers look like, how do we adjust it to win and to succeed? And I just think that's really, really important that a lot of people aren't touching upon. So it's exciting that we get to offer this, because another piece I'll add to it is there's so many people who have great businesses, especially people who have, 20, 30 plus years of experience in their fields, that it's difficult seeing them not be able to make it, to maybe go out of business or to have non-profitable months or to be losing money or to not be growing, right? To see, I mean, you and I both know business owners and we understand people who are sometimes struggling, with their business, and especially AI, especially the way that the landscape is changing. People who had marketing in the past 5-10 years, that's not going to work anymore. And so that means, we're seeing your business that's, making 3 million, 5 million. Does that go to 2 million? Does that go to 1 million? And, we see inflation, all these things, like we need to keep up with making more money. The whole point of the business is growth here, right? And even to be able to maintain, you need to be able to be dynamic and flexible. And that goes to another piece too, where it's like things are changing rapidly, especially in the digital agent space with AI. I mean, 5 years ago, we didn't have this level of AI. Now you're seeing people build an entire one-person business with Cloud Cowork, right? And being able to distribute content, all this stuff. And so it's like, whoa, that's insane. That's a lot of rapid change, where I think, could bring another area of expertise and something that's important to be able to help a business owner who is struggling to manage the changes in their specific domain and niche is we're dynamic and flexible, and we're staying on top of what's going on with algorithms, what's going on with, all of the social media marketing stuff, what's going on with AI search engines, what's going on in these spaces, to be able to stay on top of that. And if things change, we can pivot, not because we have an expertise in the concept as a whole, content, media, marketing, SEO, whatever form and however we need to do that to get it done, we'll adapt. Because we have already, to the changing landscape in the past 3 to 6 months, the past 12 months, right? And we've both seen each other do that, and I think that's really cool. So it's like, it's not only the hat piece too, but I think maybe another hat that people don't even know that they should be wearing is monitoring the current landscape of their ability to be seen by their customers and to be able to transact with those customers and to get them to come in, And it's just like, man, that's huge. So I think that there's a lot of areas where we offer all of this, and it's powerful. And I think a lot of business owners can maybe be listening to this and be like, man, these guys are some pretty sharp dudes, and they know that. And not from a standpoint of it, oh, we're great or anything, but more the business owner themselves is great at what they do. and it's difficult for them to trust someone who's not great at what their respective field is too. So they need to have that baseline level of competency, and it comes not through me making a really great ad targeted right at you, but more so making a good ad targeted at you where I show up as a real person. Like, we do real stuff. This is really what we're trying to do, what we're really about, and how we want to help. And so being able to make this all done for you service, like with Evark and embarking on this together, you know, I think is really cool, because there are so many businesses, so many kick-ass people out there, so many, you know, maybe people who are maybe a little bit older who are thinking about, shoot, I have to hand this business over to my kids. And, you know, I don't even, like, how do I train them? How do I coach them up on these things? I don't know. They're thinking about different stuff than I'm thinking about. I'm like, no, you know, a lot of the older business owners are like, the product needs to be the best and stay the best always, you know, and that's true, but we need to make sure that there's customers for that product, right? Or that service.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just, it's really refreshing for a business owner who knows that they don't have expertise in this area and they don't have the time to develop that expertise, because they might be feeling a little bit nervous or a little bit uncertain or a little bit feeling like, hey, they're going to be taken by some dudes, and, you know, when they book a call, because they don't really have expertise in the space. And we're not here to work with anyone or to take anybody or anything, but more so we're here to help people who are aligned to be able to, you know, amplify what they already do, which is deliver great product and services, right?
Yeah. Yep. Well said.
Thanks.
Well said.
I had to go on a little. You went on such a great riff. I was like, I got to show that I'm worth something too. That was just all real, because that's the big thing. Is I see so many older people who've been doing things in the past, and I'm like, gosh, man, like, it kind of, you know, not to be too super emotional or sentimental, but it does make me a little sad seeing some people where I'm like, dude, you're gonna be blown out of the water.
And it's funny too, because it's very difficult to sell to co-owners, because again, I take sales calls all the time because it's fun, and I like being real and talking to business owners. But the father-son, daughter, father-daughter duos and stuff like that, the family businesses, that's where I always encounter the most resistance, because the younger generation is always pushing for, you know, being innovative, you know, or trying to find a service that's going to work for the business and get them where they want to go, right? But then there's always pushback from the father because of the experience, right? Because of the experience that he has, and no doubt he is the expert in the field, right? That's why he is in that position. But when it comes to navigating all the changes of marketing, it definitely takes a younger generation for sure.
Yeah,
just to be able to see the trends and make the pivots, and, you know, basically just push that narrative for a business owner. Like, hey, you have to be able to offer these types of services, and getting in front of the camera or bringing some type of like branded presence online is not an option anymore. Like you could, I mean, I know business owners that generate $2 to $3 million a year and they don't have any type of social media. And I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. But what's your goal here? Like, if you're comfortable, then by all means keep doing what you're doing. Right. But if the goal is to grow or to build a legacy or to pass it on, right, or to just simply want to grow into different markets, right, because local service contractors, it's pretty straightforward. But if that's the goal, then you have to be willing to adapt. You know, see the trends coming, try and get in front of them if you can. But if not, then have those hard conversations with yourself and just be like, okay, we have to be able to make these changes or make a pivot. Otherwise, we're just going to get left behind from the guy down the street that's brand new but is comfortable picking up a camera and just talking 30 seconds into it, once a day. You know, it's crazy.
It is, and I think that it's important that you brought up the father-son dynamic, or, you know, just like I brought up the generational piece, but that father-son piece too, mother-daughter, however it is I think there's a piece too where any business owner that's watching this out there right now, if they've made it this far and what we're talking about, I hope that they can take the time to be able to say that their children, right, their Gen Z kids, are no longer just little kids anymore, and there are a entire consumer segment, right, Gen Z, but also they have grown up internet native, social media native, meaning they don't really know a world besides it, right? Like I'm 26 years old and I was on social media as soon as it came out. I mean, I was maybe 10, 8 years old, 12 years old, right? And that's what I grew up with. Of course, I know a little bit, I know the Nokia and the BlackBerry a little, just to, but at
But
this,
do you know?
maybe I don't. No, I know it from a nostalgic standpoint exclusively.
It's funny too because I grew up in the '90s and I'm going to be 35 next month, and I grew up without internet when I was a kid. Like that wasn't even a thing. So it's just crazy how much has happened in just a short amount of time.
It's changed rapidly, but I make the appeal to business owners who are thinking about, okay, hey, we should do this digital stuff. We should have a social media account. And oftentimes you see that's the younger people in the business being like, I'll start your social media for you. I'll do that. And we got to move past, if we're serious in the business side of this, we got to move past I'll just, I have, my son manage the Instagram for me. Because your son needs help because he's like, I'm trying to manage all of these profiles. And if your son is a Gary V type individual who wants to make his dad's wine business do exceptionally well, which most of the people who are entrepreneurs, they have families who are in the same path. They need help, and they know they need help because it's a lot. It's a full-time job, and they're trying to take over your position to run the business, And so it's like that's where
there's probably a lot of resistance in that too, right? Because the older generations are thinking, there's no way we're going to get customers online from Instagram and Facebook and all this other stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But they just probably don't see the vision. Right, so that's also another issue to potentially
And the
tackle.
biggest thing is, even using the word vision, is where is people's vision now? Where are their eyes? And if you just look at the data when it comes to people's screen time and where that's being allocated, obviously screen time as a whole is increasing, right, rapidly. Now, where is that screen time? If you were to go into your phone and look up your usage and what that looks like, 50%, maybe more, is on social platforms of some type.
Probably more.
I would say probably more. I'm just going to be, just give it that benefit of the doubt for
conservative
the
as conservative possible. Yeah.
But I mean, because realistically, if you want to know anything, what do you even say now? YouTube it, right? So when people are looking up stuff, they're just going, like you said, YouTube as a search and all of this. And I think people know this. It's hard for them to put like social media to come in as like a serious part of the business conversation. But it comes into, where is people's attention? Where are their eyes? It's on the screens. Where is it in the screens? In the social platforms. That's it. And that's simple. And then that's where we're trying to come in. And I would make the appeal to the business owners where it's like, it's time to start listening to Gen Z, because Gen Z has grown up with this natively and they have a mastery of this and they understand what's kind of going on here. And it's important because this is the piece where you're able to stay relevant, and that's huge because that's how you grow. So being dynamic and changing, like if we're going to cars and you're still making horse and buggy stuff, like it's time to be like,
move to Amish country.
Move to Amish country or make a change, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
So in that piece, I don't think anyone's in that space, but there is that like, hey, it's time to adapt and time to make sure we're relevant on all these things. And the Gen Zers, like I'm 26 years old, I have an Ivy League degree. This is something where it's like we're serious parts of the market and the consumer demographics and the contributors, because most of the content creators, most of the people that businesses are going to probably want to be engaging in this stuff are going to have to be on the younger end of it, because they have to be plugged into the zeitgeist, the trends, the culture, and to understand how to keep an old business relevant in the new digital age.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny too, you mentioned those things because like I know there's like all this talk about AI replacing jobs and stuff like that, but the trades are not going to go anywhere for a very long time. So it's kind of like a thing that's going to stay because, like, again, like I was an electrician for 6 years. I did commercial industrial, but again, like if somebody needs to have a building built, what are they going to go to? They're going to go to builders. They're going to go to contractors, subcontractors, right? If you need power to this room right here, right? Who are you going to call? An electrician. Same thing for
Ghostbusters.
plumbing, right? Yeah, that too. That too. God, man, you talk about all this Gen Z stuff. It made me feel old.
Oh,
And I'm like,
no.
I'm not even 35 yet.
No, you're not old, D. You're not old.
But hence the partnership, though,
That's
right? 'Cause
exactly
it's like
why.
you're in
Because
the
you're
now.
smart. Yeah, you're like, dude, I need to stay tapped in, and I'm like, dude, I need to know. Danny has experience, you know, and I'm like, I gotta be able to learn from that. So we're complementing each other perfectly.
The data, the systems, meeting, you know, the content, the creative, like that's a deadly combo for sure. But it just goes to show, like, for me, like with my agency, right, I stuck with contractors because that's like close and dear to my heart, right? And it's nice talking to contractors because I can relate to them, right? So, but the same thing goes for the younger generation too. Like, getting into the trades is a fantastic way to go because, like, my brother is a plumber. It's funny, we always butt heads because, you know, electricians and plumbers, there's always a big fight. Everybody thinks I can't clean up my stuff, but anyways, it's so funny because, like, my brother, when he was, you know, in his teens and early 20s, he didn't know what he was going to do, right? And he went through like an ABC school of construction. That's where it was. It was based in Anaheim. But that right there set him up for life. You know, like once he got approved as a journeyman plumber, worked for a great company. He makes, you know, six figures and stuff like that. He's happy, right? Like, but it's like that for a lot of trades. I don't know if you go union, obviously there's more opportunities there as well. But it's like getting into the trades early is a safe bet, you know, especially if, you know, you're family oriented or young and, you know, you just don't know simply what you're going to do with your life. Because a lot of people, they're not camera friendly, right? Or they're not oriented with all the social media stuff. So I always say, hey, like, the trades are a great way to go. Because it's funny, because once my brother got into the ABC school of construction, he brought like 5 or 6 of his buddies because they were all kind of in the same boat, like after high school, in college, but still didn't really know like what path to go down, right? So they're like, oh, well, let's pick up a trade, you know?
Yeah.
Great pay right off the start, you know?
Yeah, that's huge. And see, that's another area too where I think people need to understand is that if you're looking to be able to procure talent as a business owner, well, you have to go where the talent is, and they're online. You know, and I just saw like something came out where air traffic controllers, we need them badly, and they did a whole campaign advertising on gaming platforms, and they had so many applicants just in a matter of 24 hours. I mean, there's thousands of applicants, and it's something that we've had a shortage of here for, you know, the past couple of years, and we've seen the news headlines and those types of things. So that's just kind of a case study example to demonstrate that when it comes to not just only the marketing from bringing in clients, but also you have to hire employees and you need to be able to bring in the right talent. And that's going to come through your social presence. That's going to come through your digital presence. And I think that's a big thing as well. And so as we see, as the trades are always going to be here, most definitely, but to be able to now reach the people to get them in there and to be able to recruit those people or to, you know, get them into programs is, we need to do it where they're at. And I think that's ultimately the biggest thing. It's not about Instagram, Facebook, this, that, whatever. It's just about where are people's eyes right now, and how do we make it so that they are that what we're offering and that what the business and the goods and services and the products that we're offering are able to be seen, and simultaneously you're able to be seen as a business so that young people are able to say, hey, I want to work there when I grow up, you know, or I think about, oh, that's a really great career. I could think about structuring my life as such or doing that. Because right now, if people who are famous, people who have recognition are not the old movie stars and celebrities and all the stuff that's like not on social platforms. It's YouTubers, streamers, social media influencers. That is where the kids' attention is. That is where the people's attention is. And that's where the new age of people, because what we're seeing is Gen Z is the spear tip of every generation that's coming. If we're thinking about building a business that's going to last long term, even just 5-10 years down the road, you have to think about positioning yourself for what's coming. This is already here, and making sure that you can be seen on there means that people can go, oh yeah, I want to work at, you know, let's say some, you know, input some company, right? Or they see that in front of their mind.
Yeah.
I think that's an important piece too.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time too, the content makes it relatable and it makes it fun too, you know, because again, if you're able to see the real side of it, because, you know, 15, 20 years ago, you couldn't go watch videos on a trade school, you know, or like what to expect when you're on a job site. No, you just go with your grandpa or your dad because they were in it, right, at the time. So that, and then I like what you were saying about like forward thinking, right? Because that's literally like how we sell and structure our search engine services. Like I don't look at things 30 days at a time. I look 6 to 12 to 2 years in advance, right? It's like, is this investment over an extended period of time going to produce a 5, 10, 15, 20, 80x over an extended period of time? Because with SEO, it's compounding, right? But the same thing goes for your content. It's like picking up the camera for a first time and editing your first video. It's going to look like crap, but it's okay. Just keep going, right? You're going to get better. Or if you have a team or a team of specialists that can provide this service for you, it's great. But you have to have forward thinking, especially as a business owner. Usually the ones that are the most successful, they can look at a timeline and say, okay, I'm going to do this for 3 years as a test, and we're going to see if it happens or if it works or not. It's like being able to like bite the bullet and take that sacrifice and really express delayed gratification, when you're actually making those kind of big decisions for the long term, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you don't aim at where the target is now when you're trying to hit it. You lead that shot, you aim a little right in front of it because it's a moving, dynamic target, the whole concept of commerce and business and entrepreneurship and all of these things, right? Yeah. And so with that, I think it's important that people know that they're not deploying resources trying to hit something that's a moving target, and they're spending money on, doing some like newspaper ad or something still, and I say that because it sounds a little like preposterous to me. But I think there's still businesses that are like buying TV time and stuff like that. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Most people are not on there, and people know that the stuff that is on these, like a lot of these more mainstream things, maybe legacy now, is like not stuff that's relatable. It's not things that they really provide impact to. It's like large, big mega corps, thinking like a Target or a Home Depot or something, right? And it's like, that's fantastic.
Big pharma.
Big pharma, yeah, I know.
Well, just because their demographics, comfortable just sitting in front of the TV watching shows, and or it's just family time and stuff like that. So I always see those drug commercials and stuff when they're pushing stuff like that. But
yeah, and it's like because they know that there's a older audience that's not really contributing much when it comes to new ideas and innovation and capital deployment and stuff like that. And so nowadays it's like, hey, you want to. Someone who's going to spend money with you when it comes to operating a business, someone who we're going to have a long-standing relationship, a contractual agreement to provide a good or a service over the next, 12 months, 24 months, whatever it is. That's someone who is in go mode, who's moving, who's grinding. And that's, then you have to start thinking about what is that target, the ideal customer profile for you. We help you align on it. You work with us to be able to define that. And then we're going to put that into the digital space because your ideal customer is on social. We just have to find out which one and what type of content they like. And then once we find it, we get them and we get all of your customers. That's really how it is.
Your ecosystem.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess with all that being said, what was one of the first things that led you down the entrepreneurial journey? Because because I know for me specifically but I was a kid, so when was that specifically for you?
Well, okay, just because I love Gary Vee and I have to give my story of selling candy on the schoolyard and those types of things.
Okay, yeah.
But ever since I was a little kid, I was always in the being able to transact, being able to trade. If I was selling Pixie Sticks or if I was selling Starburst, I even used to sell, maybe people will know those things called wisps. There's like those little toothbrushes with like the mint in them. So when kids would forget to brush their teeth and then they couldn't at school, they were like little mini toothbrushes. I would slang those for like $1 a pop, buy them at Costco for like bulk at like 20 cents or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I was making tons of money and then I'd buy my candy. So there's that piece. I always just loved the concept of being able to trade and being able to have something of service and of value to provide others. And that allowed me to move through life fluidly, where it's like, I can do these things and that person can do these things very well. And then we can trade and we can both have something that's good, right?
Old-fashioned barter, baby.
Yeah, bartering, trading, yeah. And I have family in the car business, and I have family, so like sales and those types of things. I've always seen it, and being able to transact was something that I really liked. The biggest piece, though, comes down to really, I would say, the flexibility and freedom. I'm a creative thinker. I'm someone who's like very divergent with my thinking. I can be convergent as well, but I'm like, if there's something in my mind, it's going to go in all different areas. I'm going to think about all different solutions. And a lot of times when when I was working in pharma and biotech doing management consulting, it's much more kind of drone convergent, one task type of thinking. And for me, that it just seemed that was kind of robotic. It seemed that
Sounds boring.
yeah, super boring, and it seemed robotic. And I was like, I don't know. Honestly, at that time, I had already friends in machine learning and stuff at college, and they were showing me, what you can do with automation, what you can do with some like the tech, and I'm just like, why am I doing this myself? Like, why am I in here like manually like +1, 2, +2, 3, +4? What is going on? It just felt like that wasn't a good utilization of what I can do when it comes to being a creative thinker. And also, I love people, like love people. I love talking to people, learning their stories, because I think you meet people who are really fascinating, really capable and competent in various unique domains. And that's how you're able to build teams and networks to do things at scale, because you need people. So loving the people piece and realizing that I was like just kind of pigeonholed into some boring robotic content, I was like, no, I got to make a change. And so when I made that pivot, I knew that I needed to do things where I could express my creativity and be free to do that. And yeah, so I decided to give up the 9 to 5 to work 24/7. So that's kind of the good thing, right?
Do you think you were kind of like indoctrinated into like the what is the definition of success?
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, obviously, there's so many people affected by that.
Yeah. I mean, for a second, I was like, I was thinking like, oh, it's about accumulation of money. And then I realized, well, if I hate my life, I don't think it matters how much money I have. I was like, because I got to the point where I would wake up and I was like, man, nothing really matters. And I was like, well, if nothing really matters, then nothing really matters, like there's no thing that pushes you forward or anything. So it was a state of formlessness and apathy. And honestly, it was like kind of a low point when I was really because my grandfather passed away at the time that I was already feeling low about my job, because I felt confined and constrained. And that was the catalyst for me to be like.
So that was post graduating from Brown.
Mm-hmm. I'm working in consulting. And that's when I was realizing like, okay, like I've said, I've always had this entrepreneurial bone, but I didn't understand necessarily what it was like to be a part of a large organization. I thought in consulting that I would be able to still have a degree of freedom, because that is supposed to be the case with, analysts are supposed to be those like thinkers that give you, creative answers to problems that a business would have. Yeah. Then I realized that, well, no, that's more of the upper tier management and I'm the drone in this. And then I was like, oof. So I was already feeling that way, feeling confined. My grandfather passed. Then I was like, oh, this is real life. Like time is passing me by. I don't want to spend another day doing something where I'm not fulfilled. And to be honest, sure, I was making decent money, but money wasn't that good. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you were losing time.
Yeah. And so I realized I was
losing time for what's important.
And I realized because I had the entrepreneurial bone, or like the commerce type of bone, the trading, bartering piece, I was like, realistically, with the amount of time I'm losing, if I shifted my efforts and attention to a higher leverage vehicle, I could be making a lot more. So for me, there was like really no justification for why I should stay there. But then the scary piece is, well, now you don't have a secure income, right? But I realized, well, it's probably better to go and find a way to secure an income and an insecure freedom, with freedom, although that comes with insecurity, because, well, I wasn't really too hyped on engaging much in my current life. And then I realized that this is existential and that this is our real life. So I should probably do something where I'm more passionate, and finding that passion, going back to the media, going back to the videography, going back to the content, reinvigorated my passion. Like, oh yeah, now that creative thinking, that being able to be free in that, I love working. And when you love working, like that's why I know in my respective space and what I do, unstoppable. I'm unstoppable because I just love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a cool piece, you know? And so that's somewhere where it's like I get to pair that work ethic in a place that also makes me happy. So it doesn't even feel like work. And I always thought people were lying when they said that until I worked an entire day, like just like from freaking 6 a.m. till like 2 a.m. And I was like, oh, I should go to sleep. I probably should sleep. Not like, when am I going to stop? But I was just making content. I was having fun. I was talking to people, making calls, and being able to organize stuff. And it's just what I liked. So that was really cool. But got me out of a low point in which I was feeling like, what the heck? Like, this business stuff isn't it.
Because most people spend their entire life chasing that feeling right there, and they never find it.
Man, I'm so grateful. And now it's like, dude, like I know a lot of people struggle with their businesses when they have to do things that's not in their wheelhouse, like, and so it's like, I know that as a business owner, when they can actually have competent people who care at the level that they care about what they do, come in to help them to alleviate some stressful thing that they don't have expertise in, I know how much of a breath of fresh air and a relief that can be. And I also know how much that energizes a business owner to be like, I just got 2, 3, 4 more hours of my day back. That stuff is good. Boom. We have good people doing that stuff. And they feel pumped up and fired up to go execute on using that 2, 3, 4 additional hours that's stress-free, reduce cortisol, to maybe sleep a little, but also to go ahead and execute on building a business more. So that's where I'm like, that's just perfect,
Or spend time with their family.
Or spend time with the family.
Don't forget that one.
Yeah, be a human being, right?
Yeah, be a freaking human being.
Yeah. Well, D, I feel like I always say D, but Danny, I feel like we covered a lot of really good stuff here. And I feel like I know you a little bit more and your backstory more. And also, I feel like anyone who's watching this got to see that Danny knows what he's talking about. And I would like to say, I think I know what I'm talking about too. And together with Avark, it's really exciting for us to be able to embark on this journey of building this together. But I think the coolest thing is we're already built in our respective domains. It's just about organizing this together. And we're already well in place to do that and equipped to be able to handle clients ASAP.
Yeah. 100%, man.
Awesome. You have any finishing things, any final things you want to say to the people here?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's all about relationships, It's all about the people you connect with, being real, being genuine. And yeah, it's it's a breath of fresh air because, again, I'm not on the content side of things like you are, so this is like my first podcast. But it was nice just being able to talk and say, hey, like, guess what? I'm a regular freaking dude, I own a business, but I got kids. I like to spend my time with my kids. I have like 2 or 3 best friends, and that's great. I like to spend time with people that I know have my back, confide in. I think most people are like that nowadays. I feel like circles are getting a lot smaller, with trust, because I know, it's not really a thing anymore. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just nice being able to come on here and just talk. I didn't get into any of my past, but that's totally okay because that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I think, and honestly too, is if this is people's maybe first time being in contact with you on a long form setting, or maybe me as well, it's like we're complex and capable, competent people who've lived lives who are presenting that to people on camera now. There's no way you can get out the full life story in just a short conversation like this. So I hope if people are, engaged in it in some capacity, that they can continue to stay tuned, because this is the first of many pieces of content that are coming out, and both us sharing our individual entrepreneurial journeys and Avark as a whole, and as things progress, and the competency that you demonstrated a lot of these, business points on, and drop this wisdom and knowledge for people, comes from years of hard work and comes from tons of character being built. I know that personally because I know you. And I think that people can see that. So the interest is 100% there for them to be like, hey, I want to learn more about Danny because he seems legit. And I think that's going to be a cool time to be able to really start to build on all those fronts.
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Cool. Well, I'm excited on all this, and we have a lot more content coming soon. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in here today. And we will see you on some more content coming soon.
See you on the next one.
See you on the next one.
All right.